What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Tutorial Boss Guapo, and joining me tonight is somebody who violence wakes up and chooses her because it knows better than the not. The one and only OTB Lilith Blood. Lil, what's up?
How's everybody doing tonight?
I think it's going to be a good night.
I think so too. We got a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. Before we get too far into it, I want to throw some thank yous out there. Of course, I want to thank Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for our intro-outro music. Track's called Head Rush, album's called Monsters. You can check out everything Labor 12 at their website, labor12.com. That's laborxii.com. Thank you to Joe and American Legacy for our Not Your Average merch. We got our hats, we got our skull caps, we got our beanies, and coming soon, like May 10th soon, we're going to have some bandanas. I want to thank J-Reb's 3D Printing. See this piece of awesomeness right here? That's a J-Reb original. If you've got a logo, something you want to get in a light box, get a hold of Cameron at jrebs3dprinting.com. Thank you to heckyeahradio.com. If you happen to miss the podcast, shame on you. What were you thinking? But sometimes it happens. And if it does, you can head over to heckyeahradio.com, click on the Not Your Average Mark button, and you can listen to an audio version of the podcast. Thank you to Blind Ambition Studios for our badass graphics. Thank you to WrestlingSociety.com for including us in their podcast room. And, of course, the person who keeps it all running and looking good. Thank you to the guy, Patrick. Appreciate you. He's put in some work, let me tell you. You can see some of that work at our website, NotYourAverageMark.com. We've got bios. We've got calendar, where we're going to be. We got all sorts of stuff. You can buy merch. It's the place to be, I'm telling you. And most recently, we've put together a Discord. After the podcast, go to the About section here on Twitch or any of our socials, and you can find the link for our Discord. We do watch-alongs. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we'll be doing a SmackDown watch-along. So if you haven't joined that yet, please join the Discord and watch some wrestling with us.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and I enjoy every minute of it. This last week has been a bit of a whooping because there were 775 hours worth of wrestling this weekend. But you know what? Every minute was worth it. Oh, apparently I'm getting too fast for the keyboard. Type faster. So let's get into some main roster moments. We just talked about SmackDown coming on tomorrow. Let's talk about our last SmackDown. For me, the show was a good go-home show for Mania. We got Seth Rollins, Bianca, Rhea, Naomi, Randy Orton, Tiffany Stratton, and of course, Cody and Cena, all with good segments to push their Mania matches. So I was happy with the video packages, the in-ring promos, all of that was good.
Yeah.
We got to have our yearly Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and there for a little while, I thought we were going to come down to Rey Fenix and Andrade. Wasn't 100%. But Carmelo Hayes coming out on top. I thought that was kind of cool. It's a good way to push Carmelo.
Yeah. And I heard about him a while back and that he was ready to come up to the main roster. And they did like one tiny thing with him. And then I noticed he disappeared again. And so I feel like now maybe he's ready. Maybe he wasn't quite ready before. Maybe they changed their minds with his story, but now they've got something for him and they're going to push him. So that's exciting.
Well, and before I get much further into this, I want to say what's up to J-Reb. I want to say what's up to Rick. Rick subscribing for a 22nd month. Rick, love you. Thank you so much. The cool thing about Carmelo Hayes winning this is they've put him with The Miz. And The Miz is just one of those talents where if you're just almost there, he can get you to that next level. So I think putting him in a tag team with The Miz was the best thing they could have done for Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah.
And I think this is some of the spoils from that. One of the things that really, really got me, though, was the overwhelming boos from the crowd when Karrion Kross got eliminated. Like that speaks volumes about how ready the WWE universe is for him to get a proper push.
Yeah. And I've said that for a while. I've been waiting for them. I keep hearing stuff about him and his time in NXT, and I've been waiting for them to do something with it. And I know that one of those not really anybody's fault, because Triple H has had a lot of rehab work to do with a lot of people.
Mhm.
But I'm ready for it. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one. And that was very obvious when that happened.
No, I've been waiting for it. I am a fan, Karrion Kross. More so every time I see him. If you have not seen the post Mania interview with him, holy hell, go check that out.
Yeah,
That
that was
wild.
more of that real that we're starting to see. And I love it.
Camino in the chat saying, I believe in Bo Dallas. No, see, no, you can't. It's Joe Hendry. It's Joe Hendry. Camino, welcome to the show, man. Glad you're here. I think having DIY interfere in what was already a great tag team title match between Motor City Machine Guns and, of course, our champions, the Street Profits, it was a good way to set up the TLC match for tomorrow night. A whole lot of people feel like that TLC match should have been part of Mania. I'm kind of glad it's not. Like, I've heard Rick talk about it before. You know, if you put everything into Mania, I believe I heard Triple H talk about this as well. If you put everything into Mania, then what are you going to do on Monday?
Yeah.
What are you going to do on Friday? So I think it was a good idea to keep this TLC match on SmackDown.
Yeah, you've always got to have, it's great to have a moment. It's great to do a thing, but you have to have a plan moving forward.
Right.
And that's where they go wrong sometimes. Not so much right now or with WWE, but just booking in general. Like, yes, you get this big moment, but if you don't have a solid place to go to after that, that moment isn't going to mean anything.
Exactly. And I'm glad that we have somebody in charge of creative that understands that.
Yeah.
Camino in the chat saying, thank you for having me. Hey, Guapo. Hey, Lil. Looking good, OTB.
Thank you.
So we have a match. Start the show off. Solo Sikoa, Tamatanga, yeah. Walking in. LA Knight attacks and slams Tamatonga's arm in a door. He's out. Solo Sikoa is not happy. We get a match. It's going to be a good match. And it was. It was a very good match. What I love about it is we got exactly what we thought we were going to get. Jacob Fatu comes out. And then Braun Strowman comes out. So what do? If you're Nick Aldis, you walk out and say, everybody wants to fight. Tag team match.
Yep.
Right now. And I love that he does that. Just come out and say, all right, y'all want to fight so much? Tag team match right now. Go.
We're going to settle this in the ring.
That's the best way to do it. And it turned out to be a really good match. Of course, LA Knight with the pin, which there are quite a few people that said LA Knight won. That means absolutely he's going to lose at WrestleMania. We had the LWO versus American Made. Good match. Unfortunately, Rey Mysterio got hurt. And I hate to hear that. Rey, get better soon. But this did set it up to where Rey Fénix would take his place at his Mania match against El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
All in all, it was a great go-home show. Like, I give it an A. Solid A.
That's fair. I can't really argue with that.
Camino in the chat saying Aldis and Orton would have been fire. I agree. I would not have been mad had that Mania match been Randy Orton and Nick Aldis.
Yeah, well, we were all pulling for it, but I love that they still gave us somebody that was a big enough, oh my God, that none of us were salty when it wasn't Aldis.
No, and you throw Adam Pearce in there while we're at it. There's a match.
Yeah.
So all in all, I like SmackDown. I thought it did exactly what it needed to do to get everything ready for Mania. So let's talk about Mania. Let's talk about night one. The big news before we got into night one of Mania is WWE has acquired AAA Wrestling. I have said for a while that I really wish they would get back to a cruiserweight style division. And I think that's exactly what they can get having AAA as part of the WWE.
Yeah. Well,
I used
what universe are we living in? They're working on something with New Japan. They lined this out with AAA. We've got TNA talent appearing all over the place and WWE talent appearing over there. So like, it's amazing, but what world do we live in now?
you know, I agree completely. The cool thing about this is, we know a few people from AAA,
Yeah.
and it gives us a chance to see them as well. And I've always been a fan of the cruiserweights. Like, I used to love watching the cruiserweight matches because they were high flying, they were fast paced, and they were a break from, oh, me beat you up.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy, and I hope that we get that out of this.
Yeah,
We
but for
had
a while, the problem was that everybody loved that so much, everybody started doing it. But when you go back, like Jerry Lynn and RVD, I mean, not exactly, I wouldn't say cruiserweight, but that style,
Mhm.
there's nothing like it when it's done right.
No, absolutely. And I do truly believe we can get this. Rick saying in the chat, Conan actually clarified today on his podcast as the booker for AAA, WWE owns AAA 100%. Conan answers to Dorian Pena, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels.
All
And
right.
I don't think that the WWE could have done anything better than to bring Conan on. He is such a wealth of information for all of these guys. So
Yeah.
bringing him in, I'm all about it. So one other thing happening before Mania got started, Bayley gets attacked. Of course, she and Lyra Valkyria going up against Liv and Raquel in night 2. And Lyra Valkyria is told, you got 24 hours to find a partner. And the speculation began.
A lot of people said Becky. So
a whole lot of people said Becky. I heard some people throw Alexa Bliss out there. I heard some people throw. There were some names.
Yeah.
But overwhelmingly, people said Becky. And what can you say about the very first match other than it's just him, Oos?
That was a good match.
It was a great match. I had deemed that match the match of 1,000 chops and kicks, and they did not disappoint.
Yeah.
The surprising part for me on that is that Jay got the win via tap out.
Yeah, that was I really didn't expect that, but that made him look like $1,000,000.
It did. It made him look great. And of course, the crowd went nuts when Jay won.
Yeah.
Like that was a big deal. And what a hell of a way to start the show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like everybody's all yeeted out by the end of that. Ooh. I'm looking over at the chat. Mikey making his way in. Mikey, welcome in. He says, hi, guys. Sorry I'm late. No excuses. I'm with Rick. Get it together, bro.
Shame on you, sir.
Jello in the chat saying, you tapped out. Yes, he did. And the crowd let him know about it. Was not expecting the New Day to get the win in this match. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting an appearance from Big E.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were.
But I am going to say this. Whether you like the direction the New Day is taking or you don't, you cannot help but congratulate them on their 13th tag title reign. Like, I mean, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
I'm gonna be happy to see where they go with this. I don't know. The New Day, I like the storyline that they're on. I like the darkness. I like the anger. I like where they're going. One thing about it, this is Kofi's first title to win at Mania since He beat Daniel Bryan.
Oh
So
God.
this is his first title at Mania since Kofi Mania.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
It's been that long. We got Camino saying Mania was fire. Yes, it was. Rick saying he wasn't that impressed with it. I mean, it was definitely a slow down match. I'm not sure the proper wrestling terminology. You know, I haven't been doing this very long, so I don't know the proper terminology. But it was a take a breath match. It after everything that happened with Jay and Gunther, it was a chance to catch your breath
To catch
and
your
get
breath.
ready for the next one. Mikey saying the graceful job they did with the heel turn and them being good soldiers was rewarded. Absolutely, it was. And that Kofi Mania was 2019. So that's how long it's been. Rick says, clarification. I like the repackage for them, but I'm not a general fan of the New Day. And I get that. I like this repackaging. I like where they're going. And it's going to be fun to watch how insufferable they're going to be as champs. Jade Cargill beat the brakes off Naomi, gets the win, nip slip and all. The match had everything, including Areola. I mean, all of it. This was a good match. A lot of people have talked a lot of shit on this match, and I, for one, don't understand why. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good match. There were a couple of spots where it was kind of clunky, but this was a fist fight. It's not supposed to be polished and shiny.
There you go.
Cool little piece of trivia about this match. This was the very first non-title singles match between two women at the Show of Shows since Tori Wilson battled Candice Michelle at WrestleMania 22.
Oh my God.
So nearly 20 years, every other woman versus woman match has been for a title.
For a title. Wow.
So just a little piece of trivia out there for everyone. See, I did my homework this time.
I thought it was a good match. It was what it needed to be, and it was the ending that we needed. And I don't understand, other than the fact that it wasn't a technical masterpiece, I don't really know what they wanted from them.
I think Rick's got the explanation. Before I say that, Jello's saying I almost killed Naomi. Damn near. Rick says the only people talking shit are guys with micros who are upset around strong women.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That tracks. That tracks.
Mikey's saying it won't happen again because there are too many titles. I mean, that makes it may be another 20 years before we get a match that's not a title match. I don't know. J-Rev says he feels attacked.
You outed yourself, bro. Nobody was looking at you.
You can be all right, Cameron. I promise. So Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. What a match. Like this match was a lot better than it needed to be.
Yeah.
100%. The moonsault into a BFT. That was cool.
That was absolutely insane. That was so cool.
Like that was
one of my favorite matches of the whole weekend.
Oh, absolutely. That move, just that move, that was some Randy Orton out of nowhere RKO type shit. And I love it. Like it was great. We also got Ray Phoenix versus El Grande Americano. It was a solid match. Like I mean, it's exactly what we thought it would be, and I feel like it was another slow down match, take a breath match, because you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
I do like that they changed it up a little bit and had Ray Phoenix kick him while he had the steel plate in his mask, and the injury was to the foot rather than he knocked me out. Like I like that they're going different places with that. It keeps it fresh. We got to see Vikingo in the ring for a moment. That was cool. I hope somebody checked on Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan because I'm thinking they were not okay. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. TV Tan. It's a Barbie. She was in a Barbie dream house.
Yeah.
What
I thought that
the
was
hell?
really cool. Obnoxious, but I thought it was cool.
We got Rick saying sicko tears. This was a good match. I'll even go further than that. It was a great match. I've heard a lot of bitching and moaning about this one, and I feel it's completely unfounded. These ladies got in there and tore it up. No question about it. And I do have to say, great job from both ladies, and kudos to the on-site dentist because that was quick as shit.
Yeah,
like
I saw
they fixed her grill all.
I thought it was a great match too. I don't really understand why people are mad because what did you expect out of it? Everything that they did leading up to that was raw and personal, and if you expected that to be chain wrestling and hold, I don't know what you wanted from that.
See, Mikey has heard the rumor. Mikey says, I've heard that Americano's arch nemesis, El Guapo Macchiato, is after him.
Oh,
I've heard about this guy, this El Guapo Macchiato. I've heard about this dude. Like, I left for a minute. Like, I'd nature calls sometimes. You got to go answer the call of the wild. And from what I understand, he actually came in during our Raw watch along. El Guapo Macchiato did. That guy. I don't even know how he got in my house. Straight.
You might want to check on that.
I'm gonna check the cameras, figure out how he got in here. Rick saying they don't know what they want, they just want reasons to gripe. And he's not wrong. You can take any match on here and the internet wrestling community is gonna find something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hell with them. This was great. That's right. We put locks on the back gate now. I don't have to worry about, I don't know that El Guapo Macchiato can get in because I locked the gates. He's a sneaky little bastard, though, so you never can tell. So that leads us into the men's triple threat. Of course, we had Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and the OTC, Roman Reigns. This match was just as brutal as we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Lots of back and forth. Everybody got to shine. But then it happened. Paul Heyman gets the chair. And he gives it to CM Punk because that was the favor. He had to be in CM Punk's corner.
Yeah.
And then, Schmeckelbar. Punk goes down. Paul Heyman gets the chair, presents it to the tribal chief. Says, here, my tribal chief. And he goes to beating the hell out of CM Punk with it. Like he had nobody trip out on this, don't cancel me. He had an Alabama look in his eye when he started swinging on him. Like it was bad. And Paul Heyman sees Seth Rollins trying to get up and says, it's perfect. It's just like he did to you. Look. And Roman Reigns says, get behind me. It'd be okay. And Schmeckelbar. I don't know what all of this was. Like Schmeckelbar, I get that.
I don't know.
What all of this number was? But Roman Reigns goes down. That's right. Not only did we get a double cross, we got a double cross, which is awesome. So Paul Heyman gives the chair to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins does what he needs to do. He gets the win, which was the icing on the cake. J-Reb saying, I don't know why he had to rub it in. I don't get it. That is the weirdest Schmeckelbar I've ever seen.
I don't know. I don't know if that was one of those, maybe there's an inside joke that we're not aware of that had maybe somebody did that once. And so Paul did it to make everybody laugh. I don't know, because sometimes weird stuff like that
I'm going to clip that.
becomes a thing.
I'm going to clip that Schmeckel bar. I'm going to my own sound effects. And he's going to go like this, and you're going to hear, and then he's going to do the thing. And I'm going to throw some bells in there. So you're ding, 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 ding. Like, there's going to be some things. WrestleMania Night 1, absolutely great. I enjoyed every minute of it. I've got to give kudos to that last match. My favorite kind of match is somebody who knows wrestling, somebody who understands wrestling and wrestling storytelling. I love a match where I go, ooh, they're going to do this. Wait, no. They're going to do this instead. And that match had me doing that all through the match.
Yeah.
And those are my favorite kind of matches. So absolute kudos to the main event for night 1. Before we get into night 2, I do want to say, if you haven't done it yet, and I'm pretty sure everybody here has, but if you haven't, go check out our socials, click all the things, the bells, the whistles, the thumbs up, the subscribes, the likes, click all the things. It helps us know what you guys are looking at. It helps with our algorithms. And so if you haven't done it yet, go click all the things. Mikey's saying it's a mythical full rib. That's why Roman was face down, because he was laughing so much. I believe that. I 100% believe that. All right, so we have made our way to night number 2. We started off with the women's triple threat. Bianca Belair, our champion Io Sky, and the only person Lilith Blood will call mommy, Rhea Ripley. There were some great matches.
Rhea Ripley.
You and me both. She is the plot.
Yeah, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about, and yes.
She is the plot. There were a lot of great matches on Sunday's card. This was absolutely match of the night for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I know there was Cody and Cena, and there was the women's tag match. This was match of the night for me.
Yeah.
The chemistry between these 3 ladies is unmatched, in my opinion. Everybody got their chance to shine. Everybody got a chance to do their moves. It wasn't, well, I have to get all of my moves in. It was just, it moved, and it was smooth. And I like the fact that Io Sky won this match. And the reason for that is the sheer look of validation on Io Sky's face when she won.
Yeah. I really love Io. I like high flying stuff sometimes, but I'm not always the biggest fan, because a lot of times it just looks very forced and cooperative. And I don't ever feel that way when I'm watching Io. She's so fluid and so quick with everything that she does. It just, I can't say enough nice things about her, and I'm glad that she's finally getting some real recognition.
The part of this match that I can't help but say Io is amazing for was when she did the over the moonsault. Rhea brought her knees up. She hits and just kind of floats over to Bianca, who puts her in the I forgot what her move's called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There's no what her move's called. But she got put into it. And just the way that whole thing flowed was amazing. Yeah. Absolutely enjoyed that match. I'm throwing little pieces of trivia out all night. I did my homework. This match had the most "this is awesome" chants I have ever heard in one single match. Like it, and well deserved "this is awesome" chants. Like, yeah. It was great. 1 word, 2 words. Fucking Slayer.
Do I get points for calling that, even though it was really just Kerry King?
Absolutely, you get points for that. Kerry King playing Damian Priest was awesome. I loved everything about that. But I'm a
Yeah.
Slayer, so.
Yeah.
Of course, Drew got the win, but I'm pretty sure, like I haven't heard any official statements about it. I'm pretty sure Damian Priest was legitimately injured. Like he had to be
I
helped
heard
through
something
the
about that
crowd.
also.
So that was, if he is injured, here's hoping he gets well soon because
Yeah.
he is a vital part of the SmackDown roster right now.
And Drew needed that win, but they both came out of that better than they went in.
I agree with that. They did both come out better. And I don't know how many of you watched the pre-show, but Drew walking out and everybody's singing there, "Oh, Drew McIntyre," and he's like, he was eating it up, and good for him. Like that's got to be a cool feeling.
Yeah.
Well, I never thought I'd hear myself say the words I'm about to say. It is now the Dominic Mysterio show.
Everything I've heard about this, it was an excellent match too. I was at somebody else's house, so there was a lot that I heard more than I saw of the first part of night 2. But this was a great match.
It was a really good match. Again, they did a good job of keeping the fluidity of the match and everybody getting to have their shine.
Right.
I went into this thinking that Dom was going to get the win, and I was impressed on how he did it. The frog splash and then pinning Finn.
Yeah.
Like I thought that's the way it needed to happen.
Yeah.
The bottom line, it needed to happen.
Do something with Judgment Day. Like I feel like it ran its course in its current incarnation, and it's time for us to have that explosion because we've all been looking for it for a while.
Mikey with a good question. Does anyone think agents are going to be yelled at by Trips because Io and Dom had extremely similar finishes? I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
That is possible. They were similar. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Part of what an agent is supposed to do is keep them from having, the same endings over and over again. So yeah, there's a good possibility somebody got chewed out.
So a thing happened in WrestleMania Night 2. They said his name and he appeared. Of course, RKO threw out the open challenge, and who comes out but the one, the only Joe Hendry. I thought it was great. I like it was a good pop. He could make it to the main roster, no problem.
Yeah.
And get those kind of pops every time. Of course, it was a very short match. I actually saw a video. It was Patrick sent it to me. It was Stewie from Family Guy talking. It's like, look at him in his own place. Everything looks good. Oh my God, he got hit by a car. And it was good. It was funny.
I love that the way that they did the camera on that. We got the meme before he hit the RKO. Like it was so perfect. All of us hit our feet and it was ridiculous. It was so much fun. It was really cool that they did that.
And then to just the icing on the cake was Randy Orton doing the Joe Hendry turn to. I'm not gonna lie, I popped on that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Jello saying brilliance putting Joe Hendry with Randy to set up Randy to be free to attack Cena. WrestleMania setting up Raw and Joe Hendry at NXT is brilliant. I agree wholeheartedly. I like what Joe Hendry had to say about this because a lot of people in the as Rick called it earlier, the internet whining community are mad that it was a short match and they buried Joe Hendry. No, they didn't. And Joe Hendry himself said, I took an RKO from Randy Orton.
At WrestleMania.
Why would I bitch about that? Why am I going to complain about that?
Yeah.
That was the best way to do this. So good on Joe Hendry for understanding the business and not not falling into that trap.
Right.
AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. It was a decent match. The drone thing. So let's talk about the drone thing for a minute. That is, as much as I don't like Logan Paul, that was cool. Like, it's something you haven't seen before. He walks out, camera's on him, and then he goes like that, and the camera starts flying up, and I'm like, wait a minute, how? And then you realize it's a drone. Like, he brought a drone, and the drone's doing the thing, and then you get all the different angles of him walking up, and then he holds his hand out, and the drone lands back in his hand. That was awesome.
That is.
I don't want to
cool.
say that about him,
Yeah.
but I'm good. That was really, really cool. It was a decent match. It was a slowdown match. It was a take a breath match. I love that they traded styles clashes. Thought that was cool. And my favorite part was the fact that Karrion Kross got involved, because it looked like we were going to get the same thing we do at every WrestleMania Logan Paul's involved in. One of his goons comes out, gives him the knocks.
Right.
And Karrion Kross stopped it, which kind of cost AJ Styles the match. But he was just trying to help Alan. And have we noticed that we're calling him Alan now? I thought that was kind of cool. So all in all, I dug this match was just a match for me. There was nothing, it was decent. They both did well, but there was nothing special about the match itself. It was the beforehand with the drone and the afterwards with Karrion Kross that really started pushing different storylines. Like we're moving things with this. Mikey saying, I don't think I've ever heard of an AJ slowdown match. Well, now you have.
It was the match that we used to drive home from our friend's house. Like when we realized what was left, we were like, this is probably the one that we're going to be the most okay missing. And like, I knew it was going to be a great match because they're both fantastic. And I don't really care much for Logan Paul either, but I can't take away from what he does in the ring. And I hate him for it, because nobody should naturally be that gifted to be able to pick it up the way that he did. But yeah, this was our drive home match. So
Logan Paul outside of the WWE is an asshole, and I don't like him.
Yeah.
But I've heard Rick say it, and I'm going to use his words for this. You cannot deny his appreciation and respect for the sport of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But fuck him anyway.
Exactly.
Jello saying, can Logan please have a match that doesn't feature brass knuckles? No, he cannot. At least I don't think he can. So let me ask you this. We kind of touched on it earlier, but was there ever really any doubt that Lyra's partner was going to be Becky Lynch? When an Irish lass is in peril, the man comes round to WrestleMania. That's the way that works.
I think everybody called for Becky, and I completely understood why. I really wanted it to be Alexa, because we haven't seen or heard anything about her in a while. And I really like Alexa, and we're doing all this cool stuff with the women. So can we get Alexa back in there, please? Like, pretty please.
I feel like we're going to see Alexa Bliss soon. I think that
hope so.
They are still doing the whole Wyatt Six thing, and with Bo getting hurt, or excuse me, Uncle Howdy getting hurt, it's just kind of slowed things for a minute.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised to see Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss as a tag team against Liv and Raquel.
I am so down for that. And my daughter would be so excited because she loved Nikki Cross.
Nikki Cross is awesome.
Yeah.
This was a great match. I love the fact that when Becky came out, Liv looked like she had seen a ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. She should have instead worn the brown suit. We did the watch along. My favorite part of the watch along had to have come from Patrick, who referred to Liv Morgan as a walking wardrobe malfunction. That was one of my favorite lines from the watch along. Like the outfit she had on was a wardrobe malfunction waiting to happen.
Yeah. It's kind of like that with a lot of the girls nowadays. And I'm like, how many times is this going to happen before you guys figure it out?
It's going to get
lean
worse.
into it or just cover up, because
in my opinion, it's about to get worse with Liv because Zoe Stark decided to say, "Thanks for bringing the strip club to the ring. Great outfit." So now Liv's going to be like, "Oh, really? Okay, I got you. You want strip club? Bet."
Well, that will definitely up the male viewership. I know there's a lot of guys out there that go crazy for Liv.
There are, and Patrick is one of them. He is a fan. I'm not gonna lie, Guapo's a fan.
I have a tiny little pixie that I cheer. Her name's Alexa Bliss.
Oh yeah, way bigger fan of Alexa Bliss than I am of Liv Morgan. Yes, Little Miss Bliss is absolutely one of my favorites. 5 Feet of Fury.
It's always the tiny ones you got to look out for. I'm just saying.
Unless it's what's her name? Candice LeRae. You ain't gotta watch out for her. Lyra and Becky win the belts. Not expecting that. Not expecting that at all. But then again, I also, when we did our prediction show last week, I was under the impression that Bayley was going to be there and we were going to start a thing between Bayley and Lyra. So it was good to see them win the belts. And I think it threw a lot of people off.
Right.
And I was happy to see them win. And we'll talk about their title reign in just a few minutes when we talk about Raw. That, of course, takes us to Cody versus John Cena. This was a good match. I like the fact that we got Cena's greatest hits. It's his last WrestleMania. It's the last time he's going to do it on the grandest stage of them all. But I love the fact that it was a slower, more deliberate pace. Like I felt like every time he did something and just kind of walked around a little bit and strolled around, he was doing this to the crowd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I dug that. Of course, we get the interference from Travis Scott, which causes a problem, and Cena is now your new undisputed champion. But that did not happen before Travis Scott got a crossroad-shaped receipt, which I was happy to see. That needed to happen. I dug it. People are losing their freaking minds over the fact that The Rock didn't come out. So I am going to throw something out there for everybody that's upset about The Rock not coming out, and even more so upset about The Rock going on Pat McAfee show and saying, well, it's not about me. It should be about them. It should be about John Cena and 17 and the heel. It should be about that. It doesn't need to be about me, which 100% makes it about him. But to say it that way, one thing The Rock did was say something about creative. Now I'm pulling the curtain way back here for everybody. He threw creative somewhat under the bus. Maybe not all the way, maybe just running over some toes, but still under the bus.
Right.
We happen to have a show coming up this summer called WWE Untold that is going to pull the curtain back on the creative process for WWE. Now, let me paint you a word picture. The Rock is not happy with creative. Who's in charge of creative? Triple H is in charge of creative. So, should they have an altercation of words on said show, wouldn't it be something if that led up to a Survivor Series match? Rock's people versus Trips' people, or creative control. So just before everybody gets all pissed off and why was The Rock not there? He should have been there. Let it cook. Give it a minute. Smell what The Rock is cooking, okay? just take a moment. Night 2 of WrestleMania was good. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna say I like night 1 better.
Yeah. I did too.
Mikey, some trivia I forgot to throw out there. Mikey's absolutely right. 3 minutes. And I'm gonna give everybody a minute to get Eric Bischoff and all of that out of their minds. It took 3 minutes for Travis Scott to walk from the curtain to the ring to get a crossroads. That was a long ass ramp, though.
It really was. It really was.
I said something about this to Rick and Mike the other day that I'm really, really glad that The Undertaker is retired because that would have been like a 45-minute entrance.
Right.
Because
They'd
that's a
have had to start
long walk.
maybe like an hour early to accommodate that.
I completely happy with WrestleMania in general. It was everything I hoped for and then some.
Yeah.
So what do you get after WrestleMania except, a nap? Because damn, that was a lot of stuff. You get the Raw after WrestleMania, which is what's all the fun. So let's get into that for a second. Cena gives the speech you would expect Cena to give with his heel turn and winning the title. And what does he get for his trouble? He gets an RKO. Randy Orton, he turns around, and I believe the young man said shit right before Randy Orton patted him on his face. Oh, that's right. I did forget. Forgot one of the funnier parts of WrestleMania. Steve Austin. Oh, hell yeah. Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out to give the attendance for night 2 and wrecks his ATV right into the wall. Ugh. Lady falls down. I'm sure WWE is going to pay all sorts of money for that. He leans over. He's like, are you okay? Cool. I'm out. Goes up into the ring to do a thing, catches some Steve Weisers, kicks him back. Does not take the ATV back because you don't drink and drive. I think he already had, but
I think there were libations backstage.
If you watched Jay Uso in his after Mania, post Mania interview, there were definitely some libations afterwards.
And they were in Vegas, so I don't even know that all of those libations were liquid. Jay was trashed.
It was bad. It was almost as good as him and Cody.
But again, I mean, if there's ever a moment where it's okay to celebrate and have a good time, isn't it after you win the world title?
Absolutely. And I think my favorite, like every time I think about Jay being, impaired, I think about him and Cody, and I think about, Jay leaning over the mic. You feel me? You feel me, dog? You feel me? And Cody Rhodes going, do you feel him, sir? Like it was great. We got that same Jey Uso in post match interview in night 1. But going back to Raw, of course, Cena gets an RKO. I really, really, really can't wait to see where this goes. It's gonna be great. Kudos to the crowd for their involvement in that whole John Cena segment. They took a good segment and made it great.
Yeah.
Just with the being able to just, he says, none of you are sorry. And for him to be like, or for all the crowd to be like, we're sorry, or we apologize, what, I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were fully invested, fully involved. And I thought that was great. So the WWE giveth and the WWE taketh away. Liv and Raquel are now 4 times women's tag team champions as Lyra took a pin in their defense of their tag team titles less than 24 hours after they won them. And Becky Lynch lost her shit. Like just absolutely beat the hell out of Lyra Valkyria. And Lyra's like,
Yeah, she did.
what are you doing? A heel Becky. It's a concept I'm liking.
Well, and I wondered when they did the stuff with Seth and Heyman and all that, and then she came back the next night, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna have her also be heel since her husband is now kind of a heel. So
I went into it kind of thinking, and then they had their match, and I'm like, okay, well, they're not going to turn Lyra heel. They can't. Not
Right.
yet. So maybe they're not going to turn her heel, but oh, did they? So we get the New Day comes out, and they don't cut their mics off this time. Thank God for the New Day. We get Tozawa, Otis, they come out. It's time to fight. They want to fight, but it was supposed the match was supposed to be the the New Day against Otis and Tozawa, but that's not what we got. Do you want to know what we got? We got to find out that it was Rusev Day. Rusev with the big return and just completely wreaked havoc. And like, I'm pretty sure Otis passed out. Like, he put him in the clutch, and I don't know what Rusev calls it. I will forever refer to that as the camel clutch.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Otis passed out. Io comes out. I love watching Io talk. She looks so genuinely happy to be where she is.
Yeah.
And I love everything about that. She absolutely deserves respect for her win in WrestleMania, and she got just that from Stephanie Vaquer. I was like, what? And so she says, I want to fight the best of the best. And
Yeah.
I loved Io Sky saying, I took on the best and I won. And that makes me the best. Like, she's so happy. This was the match we didn't know we needed until it started. Like, it was absolute fire.
As soon as Stephanie came out, I was like, oh my God, are they really going to give this to us like right now, just out of nowhere? Because it's going to be amazing. I freaked out. And then of course they teased us with the whole,
Adam
we're
Pearce,
not going to do this
some
right
of my
now.
You
I
some
thought
of
they
my
were
bit.
going to boo him out of the building.
Or how does Santino Morella say it? You son of a gun.
Yeah.
You come out and you say, whoa, wait. I know y'all want to fight, but. And I'm like, oh, don't you do it. He says, Las Vegas, do you want this match? And of course, Las Vegas wanted this match. So make it happen. Give me a ref. Match was great. Not only did we get Stephanie Vaquer, we got Julia and Roxanne Perez get involved. Rhea comes out and wrecks shop. And this is what I like. Rio gave the belt back to Io and said, I'm coming for this, and left the ring. So thought that was just really, really awesome. Mikey got it right. It wasn't even our birthday. And we got that.
Exactly. And I love that they found an ending that made us even more excited for moving forward. They didn't have anybody win over anybody else.
Right. And so Stephanie Vaquer could come to the main roster right now and be just fine.
Yeah. She's such a badass. I love her.
She is so badass. And she's got a move that I think may have endeared Patrick to NXT.
Do we know what she calls it? I know in training we called that a skull fucker, but I'm sure that that's not what she calls it.
I don't care what it's called. From now on, it's called the skull fucker. I like it.
Yeah, that's what it was. When I learned it, that's what we called it. I don't think that that's the technical name, but I mean, it works. So
it does. And that's going to be the name to me from now on moving forward.
Hers
that is the hashtag.
Way more brutal than anybody else I've ever seen use it, though.
That is the hashtag for the hashtag skullfuckers. That's the hashtag for the night. Anytime you put Jey Uso Jimmy Uso and Sammy Uso in the same ring celebrating, it's a good time. Yeah, I called him Sammy Uso. However, Mr. Sammy Uso, because you know he's watching, don't think that I didn't notice the way I thought we were fixing to get a haluva kick. The way he was eyeballing Jay in that title, I was like, don't do it. Don't you do it.
I thought we were going to get the whole, you know, I'm your buddy. Now you've got the title, so you got to give me a shot. I thought that's where that was all headed.
J-Rev agrees with me that whatever that move's called, that's what it's called now. Rick says, how bad do I want to hear Booker T call the use of the skull fucker? I love it. I love it. Dom versus Penta was a great match. Absolutely wonderful match. But it was the end that made it. The kingdom can rejoice. Lord Farquaad has returned. JD McDonough helped Dom get the win. And here's the cool thing. They still, I think I broke her.
So everybody says that the new Snow White looks like Farquaad. So when you said that, I was like, oh, so he was filming Snow White. And so.
No, just the forehead. I'm going to tell you right now. JD McDonough, and if he's listening, because let's face it, he's probably listening. If you're listening, JD McDonough, I realize, and enough people don't say it, that you don't have thoughts. You got like movies. It was good to see. I'm glad he's back. I'm all joking and I'm glad he's back because that was kind of a scary injury that he had. So I'm glad to see he's good and he's back and can get in the ring. The thing though, they celebrated after the match, you know, and then, you know, Liv and Raquel come out and everybody's celebrating and Finn just absolutely looked like an outsider. And it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. The ending segment was amazing. Seth comes out with Paul Heyman. CM Punk comes out. The fight, it's a fight. No words. We're going to fight. He takes Seth down, goes right after Paul. Seth pulls him off of Paul. They beat him up. They go to say something, and out comes the OTC. I didn't know the OTC was going to come out because they started showing the credits. I thought we were done. I was like, this ain't how you end Raw after WrestleMania. Luckily, they were listening.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. Roman does come out and absolutely folds Rollins with a spear. Like, I mean, folds him like a paper airplane. And he gets ready to give one to Paul Heyman, but is intercepted by Braun freaking Breaker. Are we getting a new Dangerous Alliance? Is that what I'm seeing here?
That's what the whispers are. I've heard a couple of people over the last few days thinking that Becky and Seth and Braun and maybe a couple others are that we're looking at a new Dangerous Alliance.
We've got Jello in the chat saying, look up the video of Vanessa Hudgens in the ring eating with the Usos and Cody Rhodes. That was a cool video. I did see that. I like that a lot. Raw was an absolute S+. Like, this was probably the best Raw I've seen in a long time. I enjoyed every bit of it. I love what they did. It was the first time in a long time I've watched Raw and went, it's already over? Like, it's been a while since that's happened.
Yeah.
So, really happy about that. And now, I'm hoping that the guy is sitting at his computer because it is time for Notes from the Clown Show. See, now I don't know if he's playing the thing or not. All right, so do you remember when WCW brought in ICP to hype a tag team? That worked great, right? You know, that's the way. We might as well try. You know, why don't we bring out Master P to do the same thing for the Ops before they get jumped by the Death Riders? I know. There's questions. I know. The question, though, is not Did he hype them up? It's not even, was it a good idea? No. The question that is burning up the internet right now is, did he make them say, nah? That's the question. How you bring in Master P? Master P ain't had nothing happen in 20 years. Like, really? I mean, I'm sure you got him at a good price, but really? Tony Khan, you clown. Next thing.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm still.
Yeah, because Master P works so well for WCW. You know?
Does anybody over the age of 35 even know what the fuck a Master P is?
I can say I know who Master P is.
I meant under the age of 35, not over.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So next thing, FTR. We moved on from Cope. We whooped his ass. We're done with him. So there's plenty of tag teams in AEW. So where should we start? Let me think. Wait, I know. Let's have them beat the hell out of the Rock and Roll Express. That's going to get ratings, right? And just for fun, let's call them something new and inventive. Let's give them a moniker like the Living Legend Killers. That's borderline gimmick infringement, Tony.
Just a smidge. How old are those guys?
375 years old combined for the Rock and Roll Express.
And has anybody checked on Jim Cornette?
Jim Cornette has unleashed a string of obscenities that would reach from here to California.
I bet.
Like it's woo.
I need AEW to go away because I'm tired of losing respect for people in the business because they're choosing to go and work there and be associated with it.
Well, and let's go ahead and go with last thing. If you are Tony Khan, then you're obviously a clown. But if you are Tony Khan and you have a massive women's division with a lot of talent in it, no, sit down, Monet. I'm not talking to you. Why are you only concentrating on like 5 people? Why are 5 women getting a push when you've got this massive women's division? This is how you lost the people that you lost. You brought them in and you did jack with them. Maybe it's time to step back and take a look at your roster and start figuring out how to use them.
Well, and if you're only going to use 5 people, why on earth is Mercedes Moné one of them?
Because Tony Khan's a clown, that's why.
Yeah.
Looking over at the chat before we get out of this, Eska saying they did do it too, and Mikey saying he hasn't been relevant since '99. Oh, I'm aware. Rick saying he should have been associated with No Pop Monet so that their revenue and ratings footprint would match. I love it. Second worst Dynamite rating of all time. Imagine.
Oh, wow.
Jello saying on his podcast, Bubba Dudley called John Moxley the worst wrestler ever. He's flat. This is his career since he's been in AEW. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Mikey saying it's his toy box full of misfit toys. Fair. And Rick's answer to the last point is because TK don't like women. Have you ever seen a picture of him hugging a female star? Look, I'm not going to answer that because I won't get canceled. But no, I haven't. No, I've seen him hug CM Punk. I've seen him hug Adam Page. I don't think I've ever seen him hug a female star.
Yeah, I can't think of any time I've ever seen it. But
I
also
Tony Khan.
Every picture I can think of, it's just crazy hair and eyes the size of saucers. So.
Oh yeah, I can't with his eyes.
Yeah.
I can't.
He looks like he's on another planet.
Yeah. Rick said, Mikey made a point, said he hugged Mercedes, but Rick said Mercedes is a drag queen. So,
Why would you insult drag queens like that?
that, ladies and gentlemen, proves that Tony Khan is in fact a clown, and that was Notes from the Clown Show. Now to get to the fun stuff. Lilith Blood. We saw some things at the last Squared Circle Pro. You won a great match. You bit a guy in the dick. I mean,
of course you'd bring that up.
It was cool. So let's talk about for a second, after what, 18 years back and forth with Gringo, it's finally over. That was the last dance, and you won it. So
yeah.
Talk to us about that. Where was your head? Like, how can you even put all of that into one match? So where was your head?
I knew that I was willing to do just about anything to end this. And I didn't know if Gringo was there too. And there was so much going on before it. It was like, I thought about it, but I didn't think about it. I just felt like I needed to go out there and do whatever I felt like I needed to do in the moment. Like I wanted it to be instinct.
Okay.
Because that's the only way to plan for somebody that has backup plans for his backup plans for his backup plans.
And it's been proven time after time after time again.
Yeah, and we've seen
Gringo is that guy.
Even there with what happened with Lloyd, it almost happened again.
Lloyd, you son of a gun.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that kid.
Yeah, but if there's ever something you don't want on your resume, it's Lilith Blood not happy with me. That is not something you want to have known about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at the chat here. Oh, I said what you did to him was cool. I've been informed that in order to do that, I need to have an apple in my hand before I can say it like that. So it's cool without an apple. Rick says maybe
I know there were a lot of people that appreciated the commentary in that moment of the match. So
it was awesome. If you haven't watched that yet, go to heckyeahradio.com and look it up, because the commentary for that, like she said, was outstanding. So we finish the match. We raise your hand. You thank everybody. And there's a feeling that comes over as you're thanking everybody and you finish this up. There's a feeling that goes across the crowd. So I'm just going to ask the question that everybody wants to know. Have we seen the last of Lilith Blood?
Well, okay, here's the thing. If you've been on social media at all, and Guapo, you kind of know this, I am on the BCW flyer for the next show.
Yes.
I for sure have one more contracted match. And was it Cena that said recently that there is no real retirement in wrestling because there's always a payday or a reason to come back?
Yep.
And I've seen that myself enough over the years. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen retire and be back in a year. So I don't know that I'm ever going to actually say that. But I've been telling everybody for a year now that I'm in the end of things. Like I've been doing this for 19 years, and that is a lot of wear and tear on a body that had wear and tear before it ever got in the ring. I grew up in the 80s. I was outside riding my bike and climbing trees and doing all the stuff that we had to go outside and do as kids. So like I was beat up before I ever touched a wrestling ring. So, I don't have any immediate plans, but at the same time, like I really don't know. It took me longer to recover from that match than what I would have liked.
I can only imagine that match was brutal.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I have pictures, I will post them on my Facebook eventually. I don't bruise. And I really mean that. Like all of the crazy stuff that you guys have seen me do over the years, there's not many pictures of like black eyes or bruises or anything crazy like that because it just doesn't happen to me. And I had the biggest bruise on my shoulder for about 2 weeks after that match. And I mean, it showed up almost immediately. And I like chronicled and I took pictures of it every day because I don't bruise. And to have one on me that big and that dark, I was like, I have to like have a record of this because they're like, they show you survived when you have scars and bruises. They heal, but they show you went through something.
Survived is a good word for that match for you and Gringo both.
Yeah.
Obviously we had a winner, we had a loser, but surviving is a very good word for that, the end of that match.
Yeah.
Because everything was in play. The ring steps, the chairs, the tables, the ring bell, the posts, the everything. As a matter of fact, we got to a point where the mat was pulled all the way back to where we were just on the boards. At which point, you put El Gringo Loco spine to pine. I mean,
I love that. Oh my God, that is amazing. Spine to pine. I love it. I love it. That needs to be a shirt.
I happen to know somebody who makes shirts. I'll call them up after the show.
All right.
J-Rub puts it best, though. Never say never.
Yeah.
So you did make mention of the fact that you do have another contracted match with BCW. Let's talk about that for a minute. Chasing Cash found himself a new manager in Nick Kaiser and has worked himself into a match with you, kind of an answer to the first match the two of you had. And looking back at the last BCW show, he had a few things to say in commentary.
Yeah, I heard.
So I, at this point, want to give you open mic to talk to Chasing Cash and Nick Kaiser.
Well, actually, before we get there, and this is all going to work together, but I do want to say another thing about Gringo before we totally move on. But I promise this is going to play into one another because it's got to do with respect. And I fought with Gringo for 17 years. And do you know what he never did in those 17 years? He never once went to management and said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore with this crazy bitch. You stop it. Like he always gave me opportunity. He could have shut it down and he never did. And this is probably the nicest thing anybody will ever hear me say about him. Because we all know how I feel.
Oh, yeah.
But he always pushed me to work smarter, to work harder, to test my limits. And I don't feel like that happens without some level of respect. And I realize neither of us will ever acknowledge that. But I do feel like that's true. He always gave me the opportunities. Now, Chasen called me old. He said that it was time to put me out to pasture. Said a lot of really nasty little shit. A lot of nasty shit because he's a disrespectful little shit. I feel like maybe I need to be the one to teach him some kind of respect. Because he said I cheated. I would like to know where in our match I cheated because he was the one that brought a weapon in. He's the reason that chair was in there. That wasn't me.
No,
but he should have known better than to bring a weapon into a match with me.
Like, you make a valid point there. Like, Who gets in their mind, you know what? If I'm going to bring a weapon into the ring, who should I do it with? I think I'll bring it in with Lilith Blood.
Yeah.
Really? That's not the smartest thing in the world.
When Gino called me out, Gino told me to leave the weapons at home.
Because Gino knows.
Yeah, because he knows. He did his research. And I warned Jason. I told him last time, I said, everybody gets one. He already used his one. So now we've got a problem.
I would not want to be chasing cash right now. So May 10th at PCW Head Games, it's you, it's chasing cash, but there's a new factor in all of this as he's got his manager now, Nick Kaiser.
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that new wrinkle?
I'm never really prepared, but that's how I prepare. But I can say that I know Damien's going to be there. That's already out there. He's doing the thing with you in intermission. Yeah. So I mean, not saying it'll keep them from doing anything, but if they're smart, they'll think twice because I will have my own backup. And he's much scarier than Nick.
Yeah.
Nick may dress nice and he may be well spoken, but I have a ticking time bomb in my back pocket.
Well, and J-Rev put it really well. The fact that someone needs to plan to cheat says a lot about you as a wrestler. So
I don't always win, but I will always get up. And that's the thing that they hate so much about me, because you literally got to kill me to keep me down. You might win the match. But while we were working, I was learning all kinds of lessons about you and your move set. And, I study playbooks.
As any good wrestler should. Looking over at the chat, and this is going back to Squared Circle, talking about Squared Circle Pro. Jello says, I just would like to say that when I attended an SCP event a couple of years ago, Lilith and Guapo were the most lovely and friendly people there. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. See,
I appreciate
not always a bitch.
Only to the people that deserve it.
I'm saying, once you flip the bitch switch, that's it. But that is not my default setting.
J-Rev says, and I'm quoting here, if I wasn't married.
I don't know how Damien would feel about that, but I appreciate it.
You said you had a ticking time bomb in your back pocket. Mikey would like to know how you fit his mail truck in your back pocket.
Now I feel bad for him having to drive around in a ticking time bomb mail truck.
That begs some questions. The ATF is watching. I got nothing to do with that. I don't deliver mail. I'm going to look at my mail when I get it. I got nothing to do with the mail. So I'm excited that I know for a fact we're getting one more match with you and Jason. Could you see yourself continuing on at BCW, or if you were asked to come back to Squared Circle Pro, could you see yourself do you still have the want? I hear a lot of wrestlers say, and a lot of times, the mind is willing. So where do you see yourself in that spectrum?
I don't know that I'm ever not gonna want to. I think that right now I'm just kind of in a place where it's like a one day at a time thing, or one show at a time, I guess is how you put it. Because like I said, it did take me a little longer to heal after that last match. And granted, that match was brutal and it took it out of me. But I don't know, some of that is also my body being like, it's time to chill, but I will always want to be around. I don't ever see a time where I'm not involved in some aspect, maybe not always in matches as a wrestler, but as an enforcer, as a manager. Like I love the fans too much to not want to do this.
And that is a mutual feeling. I mean, let's just call it what it is here. I heard one of the loudest pops I've heard in a long time for, a reversal. Like,
Yeah.
it was insanity. The crowd loves you. There's no question about that.
No. And I
Well,
love them. I mean, that is a huge part of why I do what I do and why I try to do everything I can to help, not just in ring stuff, but I'm always willing to help wherever I'm working because I love the fans and I want them to have a good experience. I want them to enjoy themselves. I want them to forget about their life for a little bit because that's why I used to go to that stuff before I was a part
Mhm.
of it. Went to a lot of concerts and things. It was to forget. It was to have a good time for a little bit. And I want that for the people that are spending their hard-earned money to come to our shows.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly what I love about wrestling. It's a step away from the grind. It's a step
Yeah.
away from monotony of the day. It's your chance to get away from all of the stuff and be somewhere good for a while.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I received a message, so I'm going to go ahead and ask. At the end of the last Squared Circle Pro show, at the end of spring break, Rick LZ leaned over to you and said something, and you walked to the back before a absolute tirade happened. Can you share with us what was said?
He told me that he loved me and was proud of me. And then he told me that he wanted me to leave because he did not want me out there because what was about to happen had nothing to do with me. And of course, I've seen the videos and stuff that are going around, and I haven't talked to him as much as I normally do, which is kind of unusual, but I also know life happens and we're both busy and we connect when we can, just like with any of my other friends. So I have to hope that he's okay and that, when I see him in the chats, when we're doing the watch alongs and stuff, and, he seems like normal Rick. So, obviously there's something going on there. Um, but we're also allowed to feel our feelings and go through stuff.
We listen and we
So,
don't judge.
yeah, we're supposed to listen and we don't judge. We all judge. It's just internal. If we're decent people, we keep it internal. But I don't
J
think it's
Rev,
possible to actually not judge anybody.
that's fair. J Rev's got the plan, and I can't believe I hadn't thought of this before. J Rev says you should hire her to be your bodyguard so you don't get Gunther at a show. Absolutely, and I left that out and feel like I should talk about that. Gunther comes out on Raw and attacks Michael Cole. And Pat McAfee to the rescue. You don't mess with Michael Cole. That's the voice of WWE for the last 28 years. You don't mess with Michael Cole. Here comes Pat McAfee to the rescue, and he got just absolutely choked out. He got put in a rear naked choke, and he was turning colors that he should not be turning. And
I can't
he's
believe we
okay.
can talk about that because that was my favorite thing that happened on Raw.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was so good, and every bit of it was almost a little scary because you're right, his face was turning colors.
Yeah,
That's
he
my
was turning
signature.
shades of
Like I know what that can do, and yeah, that was amazing.
looking at the chat, Rick says, "Thanks, Lil. I do love you. Stop stirring the pot, John. I'm not stirring the pot, Rick. I got asked a question. I asked people to give me their questions because Lil was going to be on the show tonight. That was one of the questions I was asked. So I asked the question. I'm gonna
And
get
I
it.
think it's funny that somebody suggested, was it J Rev that said I should be your bodyguard? Because that's what Damien's been saying too.
I'm just saying, if it keeps me from getting Gunther, I like this idea. Well, we have come up to that 9:30 mark, which brings us to the end of the show. So as always, I'm going to turn the floor over to you to speak to the people watching, the people listening, your future opponent, Chasing Cash, and the wrestling world in general. The floor is yours, my friend.
All right. Well, first off, as always, I want to thank the fans and everybody that tuned in tonight, that listens, that hangs around whenever we're doing all this stuff, because it is a lot of fun for me to get to talk wrestling with everybody. And I want to take a minute to thank all of there's been a lot of times in my career when guys have not been exactly nice or accepting, but for the most part, I've been absolutely surrounded by a lot of men who have always been willing to give me opportunities, to push me, to not hold me back just because I was a female, and also that have made me feel safe in locker rooms and in situations. And I just want to take a minute to thank all of those guys, because there's way too much talk of toxic men nowadays without those of you that are not toxic getting any love for that.
Absolutely. That and the wrestling community, not the internet wrestling community, but the wrestling community and the brotherhood,
Yeah.
the family feel in those locker rooms is second to none. Like
Yeah.
I haven't been in a place where there was that kind of family feel outside of my house, you know?
Yeah.
So I definitely understand what you're saying there, and I kudos to all of them for that. Um, as far as final thoughts for me, of course, Lil, thank you for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah. I love being here.
Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed interacting with everybody. You guys are the reason I do this. You guys have given me a platform to talk about wrestling, and I can't thank you enough for that. So to each one of you, thank you so much. Our hashtag for the night is Skullfucker. And I think the comment for the night is J-Reb saying, first thing I said the whole show was, she bit his pecker. So, you're never gonna live that one down. I'm just letting you know.
I know I'm not. But you know what's hilarious to me? Gringo, I have done that to him. I can't even tell you how many times over the years. But this entire last little bit, this last year at Squared Circle Pro, I completely forgot, and I didn't do it even once. And I'm glad, because it got the bigger reaction in that moment where it got used. And yeah, it was a great way to turn the tide on everything. So I'm proud of it.
J-Reb says it was all pants too, right? You have dumbfounded Patrick with his response of she bit his pecker a lot over the years? Question mark?
I really, if you look at the tail from the tape, there's a picture in there from the warehouse of that exact same thing.
That's awesome.
So
this has been a lot of fun. Like I said, Lil, it's such a pleasure having you on here. I can't wait for May 10th, and you shouldn't either. If you have not experienced West Texas Independent Wrestling, now is the best time to do it. May 10th in Levelland at TMW Event Center, BCW Head Games. May 24th, Jake's Back Room, Squared Circle Pro, Tornado Slam. It's two of the best shows you're going to see. And if you're anywhere near the Lubbock area, get your tickets. You want to be there for that, because it's going to be outstanding. If you can't be there for that, you can watch it online, but you should probably go ahead and just come on and come to the show.
Yeah, so it's
nothing like live
a whole experience in person. You don't get that online.
Rick says some people like a little middle here and there. Don't shame people.
Yeah, we listen and we try not to judge.
We listen and we judge silently. That's the new rule. All right, everybody. Yeah. I could sit here and talk all night with you, though.
Yeah, sorry.
we're going to have to shut it down. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. We will be back next Thursday night right here for the podcast. We will be on Discord tomorrow night for SmackDown Watch Along. If you haven't already joined, please do, and I can't wait to see you there. Until then, I'm Guapo. That's the OTB Lilith Blood. We're not your average marks. Catch y'all next time. Yeah.